Most people think they're one step away from happiness, one promotion, one perfect partner, one trip, one more weekend to reset it all. But what if you're not missing anything? What if you're carrying too much? Too many expectations, too many comparisons, too many invisible rules telling you what you should want and how fast you should get there. No wonder you feel restless. No wonder joy feels so distant, because chasing more is the fastest way to feel like you're never enough. Ever wondered why, even on a good day, you still feel off? Still feel like you're falling behind even when nothing's wrong? It's not because you're broken, it's because you're drowning in noise and no one taught you how to get quiet. But the Stoics did. So stay with me, because in this video, we're not adding anything to your life. We're subtracting until all that's left is what's real, what's yours, and what brings you back to peace. Let me tell you something no one ever taught you. Happiness isn't hiding in the future. It's buried under the noise you're carrying today. Most people think they'll be happy when they arrive, when they finally reach enough. Enough money, enough success, enough love. But here's what the Stoics knew. Peace doesn't come from getting. It comes from letting go. And that's what this video is really about. Not a how to be happy list, not a checklist of habits you'll forget tomorrow, but a shift, a realignment, a return. Because the life you're chasing might not even be yours. So today, I'll walk you through 7 Stoic shifts. Each one designed to peel off what's false and reveal what's always been true. These aren't theories, they're lived wisdom, and by the end, you'll see exactly why your happiness has felt so fragile. And how to rebuild it, not by changing your world, but by changing the way you move through it. Stick with me till the end, and I'll share our most important Stoic question. I ask myself every morning, the one that brought me back from burnout and into a life that finally feels like mine. Story, the noise you didn't notice. This is Ethan, 34, graphic designer, works remotely, says all the right things, lives in a clean apartment with good lighting and a growing sense of emptiness. Ethan doesn't hate his life, but it doesn't feel like his life either. He wakes up, checks his phone, answers a few Slack messages, scrolls through inspiration posts that mostly make him feel behind. He's not depressed, but joy feels dull, like music you used to love, now playing in the background of someone else's day. And every time he tries to fix it, he adds more. A new productivity app, a new course, a new life coach who tells him to visualize abundance. But nothing sticks. Until one morning, he loses internet, no Wi-Fi, no distractions, no one else's noise in his head. So he makes coffee, sits down, and does nothing. No to-do list, no screen, just breath. And in that stillness, something unfamiliar happens. He hears a voice he forgot was his. It doesn't scream, it doesn't beg, it simply whispers, "Slow down, we're not lost, we're just buried." That moment didn't change his life overnight, but it cracked something open. He realized the problem wasn't what he didn't have. The problem was what he kept adding to a soul that was already full of what didn't matter. So he made a decision. He started saying no to noise, to urgency, to people who only knew his surface. And in the space that opened up, he found quiet. And in that quiet, he found clarity. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Epictetus. Ethan wasn't foolish, he was finally free. Not because he had all the answers, but because he stopped pretending he needed to. And maybe you don't need to start over, you just need to stop running and listen to the life inside you that's been waiting patiently Because peace doesn't always arrive like lightning, sometimes. It returns in whispers, and those whispers, they're your truth, trying to be heard. Shift number 1. Stop defining your life by other people's timelines. You don't realize it at first, but most of your stress isn't about what's happening. It's about how fast you think it should be happening. You should have made more money by now. You should feel more confident. You should be in a relationship. You should know what you're doing. That word, should, it's poison, and it's not even yours. It's a borrowed voice, a timeline you didn't choose, a silent scoreboard measuring your worth against other people's milestones. But here's the truth. There is no universal schedule for becoming whole. You're not late. You're not broken. You're not behind. You're just comparing a deeply personal journey to someone else's highlight reel. And that comparison, it's not harmless. It steals your joy. It distorts your decisions. It makes you say yes to paths that aren't even yours. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." And that's the danger. You wait so long to measure up that you never actually show up as yourself. So here's your Stoic reset. Replace "should I be there yet" with "am I living in alignment right now?" Because that's the only question that matters. You don't owe anyone speed. You don't owe the world a timeline. You only owe yourself the honesty to go at the pace of your own becoming. Try this. Write down every should that's been haunting you lately. Then ask, who told me this? If the answer isn't you, let it go, because you are not a project to finish. You're a process to honor, and rushing that process, it's like shouting at a flower to bloom faster. It doesn't make it grow. It just makes you miss the beauty of where you are. You're not behind. You're just beginning in your own time. Shift number 2, start protecting your attention like it's your life. Let's call it what it is. You're not just distracted, you're drained, because your attention is under attack. From the moment you wake up, the world starts pulling at you. Notifications, news, messages, demands. Algorithms that know exactly how to keep your brain buzzing. And before you've even had your first sip of coffee, your mind already belongs to everything except you. Here's the cost. When you give your attention to everything, you leave nothing for yourself. No space to think clearly, no time to feel deeply, no room to hear your own voice. You become reactive, always catching up, always one step behind your own life. But the Stoics saw this coming centuries ago. If a person doesn't know to which port they sail, no wind is favorable. Now, Seneca, that means if you don't direct your attention, you'll be dragged by everything loud and meaningless. So here's the shift. Your attention is your most sacred resource. Treat it like your life depends on it, because it does. Every moment you give to noise is a moment stolen from presence, from clarity, from calm. So let's make it practical. Start with this question each morning. What deserves my attention today, and what doesn't? Write down 3 things that truly matter. Then protect them like gold. Turn off the noise, silence the apps, leave messages on read, and if someone asks why, tell them the truth. I'm choosing focus over frenzy. Because no, you don't need to know every headline. You don't need to respond to every ping. You don't need to be available to the world 24/7. You just need to be available to your own mind. Because when your attention is scattered, so is your life. But when you protect it, something beautiful happens. Your thoughts get clearer, your emotions stabilize, and your day starts to feel like yours again. You don't need more time. You need fewer distractions. Shift number 3, make peace with slow days and stop fighting stillness. Some days feel heavy, but not because of what you did, because of what you think you should have done. You wake up slow, your brain is foggy, your motivation's gone. And the first thing you feel? Guilt. You tell yourself, I should push harder. I'm being lazy. I don't have time for this. But here's the hidden danger. You've mistaken rest for failure. Somewhere along the way, you learned that being still, being weak, that's slow, bad. That if you're not producing, pushing, moving, you're wasting your life. But what if that's the lie? What if your stillness isn't a problem? What if it's a signal? The Stoics understood this deeply. No man is free who is not master of himself. Epictetus. And being a master of yourself means knowing when to act, but also when to stop. Because stillness isn't laziness, it's wisdom in disguise. Stillness helps you hear the thoughts behind your thoughts. Feel the emotions underneath your actions. See what's real, without the blur of urgency. So the next time your day feels slow, don't fight it, feel it, welcome it. Ask yourself, what am I rushing for? And who told me I had to? Then breathe. Stretch. Make tea slowly. Stare out a window. Be the opposite of productive, on purpose. Because your soul isn't a machine. It's a river. And sometimes it needs to sit still before it flows again. Your worth is not in how many boxes you check. Your value is not tied to your output. You are allowed to pause. You are allowed to be human. You are allowed to rest without apology, without guilt, without a reason. Because sometimes the most stoic thing you can do is nothing at all. Slow days aren't wasted. They're where you find yourself again. Shift them before. Let go of the need to be understood. Let's talk about one of the deepest sources of invisible stress. The need to be understood. You try to explain yourself. You try to show your side. You try to make people see what you meant, what you feel, what you value, and when they don't, it hurts. Not because they're wrong, but because deep down, you've attached your sense of peace to their ability to get you. But here's the truth. Not everyone will understand your path, and they're not supposed to. Your experiences are yours. Your emotions are yours. Your growth is yours. You weren't born to be universally accepted. You were born to be true. And sometimes, truth is lonely. If anyone tells you that a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make excuses about what is said of you, but answer, he was ignorant of my other faults, else he would not have mentioned only these. Orid Epictetus. That's not sarcasm. That's stoic self-trust. It means you don't have to chase validation. You don't have to explain your entire soul. You can breathe, even when people misunderstand you. You can rest, even when someone calls you too much, or too quiet, or not enough. So here's the shift. Let people misunderstand you and stay peaceful anyway. Start with small things. Someone doesn't get your boundaries. Still set them. Someone misreads your silence. Let them. Someone tells a version of you that's not true. You don't have to edit their narrative. Your job isn't to manage perception. Your job is to live with integrity, because the moment you release the need to be understood, you unlock a deeper kind of freedom, the kind that isn't shaken by opinions, the kind that lets you walk your path even if no one claps, even if no one follows, even if no one sees how hard it was just to keep going, because peace isn't found in being seen, it's found in being centered. Stop explaining who you are, just be it, quietly, powerfully, fully. Shift for 5, detach from outcomes, commit to action, you try hard. You plan, you visualize, you pour yourself into a goal, and still, it doesn't work out. You don't get the job. The relationship fades, the results fall short, and what do you tell yourself? I failed. I'm not good enough. I should have tried harder. But that's not just disappointment, that's attachment. To an outcome you can't fully control. And attachment, it turns effort into anxiety. It turns progress into pressure. It turns growth into a gamble. But the Stoics taught a different way. Do not seek to have events happen as you want them to, but instead want them to happen as they do happen, and your life will go well. Epictetus. It sounds radical, but it's just this. Detach from the outcome. Commit to the action. Because you don't control results. You control how you show up. You control your intention. You control the values you bring into every choice. So here's the shift. Instead of asking, will this work out? Ask, is this aligned with who I want to be? And then act. Not for applause, not for payoff, but because it's right. Because when you anchor your peace to outcomes, you become fragile. But when you anchor it to your values, you become free. Try this. Pick one area where you're feeling stuck. Career, relationship, health. Write down one small action you can take. Not to fix everything, but to live in alignment. Then take it, without guarantee, without control. Just conviction. Because action without attachment is the most powerful form of presence. And presence is what transforms life from a chase into a practice. Let go of the result and you'll find something stronger, yourself. Shift number 6. Practice silence. Not every opinion deserves a response. Let's be honest, most of the time you don't need to defend yourself. You just think you do. Someone questions your choice. Someone criticizes your tone. Someone throws shade, subtle or direct, and before you know it, you're typing paragraphs, rehearsing comebacks, replaying the conversation in your head like it's a courtroom. But here's the truth. You're not obligated to respond to every noise. You don't owe an explanation to every voice that misunderstands you. You don't have to correct every wrong take. You don't need to prove anything just to feel at peace. In fact, the need to constantly explain, that's not clarity. That's insecurity in disguise. The Stoics said it clean and said it first. Better to trip with the feet than with the tongue. Zeno of Citium and Marcus Aurelius. You always own the option of having no opinion. There is never a need to turn this into something. You can choose stillness over reaction, silence over proving, presence over performance. So here's your shift. Not every opinion deserves your energy. Not every poke deserves your punchline. Not every moment demands a statement. Sometimes, you win by not entering the ring. Here's a practice. Next time someone says something that gets under your skin, pause. Don't respond immediately. Ask yourself, is this useful or just loud? Then say nothing, not out of fear, but out of strength. Because silence isn't weakness, it's strategy, it's sovereignty, it's emotional mastery. You're not here to win arguments. You're here to win back your peace. And every time you hold your tongue when your ego wants to speak, you choose something far more powerful than victory. Self-respect. Every response costs energy. Spend yours on what actually builds you. Shift number 7. Remember, this moment is your life. You keep waiting for the right time, for the pressure to ease, for things to finally settle down. You tell yourself, I'll enjoy life when this is over. I'll be present when I've caught up. I'll slow down when it gets easier. But here's the brutal truth. Life doesn't wait for your convenience. It doesn't begin after the next milestone. It doesn't pause when you're overwhelmed. It doesn't hold its breath while you figure things out. Life is happening right now. This breath, this hour, this imperfect, unfiltered, messy, beautiful moment. And every time you delay your presence, you trade what is for what might be. That's why the Stoics were obsessed with the present. Do every act of your life as if it were your last. Marcus Aurelius. Not because they were morbid, but because they understood. Time is the only thing you never get back, and this moment is the only one that's truly yours. So here's your shift. Stop trying to arrive. You're already here. Start noticing the warmth of your coffee, the tension in your shoulders, the thoughts beneath the noise. Start asking, what would I do right now if I truly understood this was part of my life, not a break from it? Because this isn't a rehearsal, this is the stage, and you're in the middle of your scene, whether you act or not. Try this. Set a 5-minute timer. Do nothing but breathe. No phone, no plans, just exist. Inside this moment. It won't fix your whole life, but it will bring you back to it. Because presence isn't just a practice, it's a proof that you're done living on autopilot and ready to live. Fully, finally, now. Stop waiting for life to begin. This moment is the beginning. So here we are. 7 shifts, none of them complicated, but each one a quiet revolution, because sometimes the deepest wisdom isn't about doing more. It's about doing less. Less chasing, less proving, less apologizing for who you are. The Stoics never promised perfection. They promised clarity, and clarity means knowing what matters, letting go of what doesn't, and choosing again and again to live from the inside out. So take a breath, not to calm down, but to come back to your center, to your values, to yourself. Drop a comment below. Which shift spoke to you the most and why? Not for likes, not for performance, but as a reminder to yourself that you're not just surviving this life, you're shaping it. One moment, one mindset, one choice at a time. Thank you for being here, not just watching, but listening to the quiet voice inside you that's always known the way. Thanks for growing stronger, clearer, and a little more stoic today.